What is going on, y'all? What is going on? It's your boy David, and I'm here with episode 2 of Knicks On Top, presented by Top Bunk Sports. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, you see it right there. The Knicks lose their first game of the NBA season, 115 to 107 to the Miami Heat. A really, really gritty matchup, to say the least. I mean, Miami, again, kept fighting. The Knicks tried to do everything that they could to keep the lead, but every time they had a 1 point or 2 point lead, Miami kept scoring and kept coming back. The defense wasn't the best today. We had a couple guys very inefficient. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns, for the most part, really didn't have it. Let's look at his box score real quick. I'll show it right here on the screen, just so you guys can see it. And again, it started with his 3-point shot today. If you look at his numbers from three, he was 2 of 8 from three, right? But he was also 6 of 14 from the field. He played 36 minutes and only had 15 points. He was a +2 in point differential, but he had three turnovers, 2 blocks, obviously, 18 rebounds. So in the rebound category, he's never gonna disappoint. But at the same time, when you're relying so much on threes, and again, he is considered the best shooting big man in the league, correct? But at the same time, it's like, you as a player, unless you can't really go to your second option, then that is obviously a problem, right? But when you know that you can cut to the basket, you can post up, right? Bam Adebayo is obviously a good defender, and he's going to try to give him a problem. But try something else. Try to adjust. Try to do what you have to do to get your points elsewhere. Because if you're just going to have OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and Jalen Brunson do all the scoring, and there's no way of stopping Norman Powell, right? You look at Norman Powell's numbers today. Norman Powell had 29 points. He was 7 of 15 from the field, and he was 3 of 6 from three. He made all of his free throws. He was perfect, 12 of 12. Let me see how many turnovers. He only had 1 turnover the entire game. So right there, it he couldn't be stopped. Nobody was able to stop him. Just overall as a team, this team, they could not find an adjustment, especially in that second half, right? They weren't able to make shots. They couldn't even score within the last 5 minutes of the third quarter. They were dead in the water. I mean, they were relying on too many threes. I mean, you look at the numbers from three, right? Let's look at the team stats real quick. And look at the numbers from three. 3-point, they were 15 of 54. That is a problem. That is a problem. Now, of course, they can make their threes. And again, when they started off the game, they were making their threes. But again, this goes back to my point of making adjustments, going in there and, relying on a different way to score, to go to try to change the momentum of this game for you, for the team. This team is not scoring right now, based on the three right now. That's all they're relying on. So, excuse me. Personally, I feel like if there's a Mike Brown, in Mike Brown's case, you gotta go out there and you gotta make adjustments. Try to see, draw different plays to get guys involved. And again, you look at the minutes as well, right? You go back to the box score, you look at the minutes for the Knicks. You had OG Anunoby, played the most minutes in 37 minutes. Karl Anthony Towns, 36. Ariel Hawkporty, 10. Mikal Bridges played 37 as well. Excuse me. Jalen Brunson, 35, right? And then you look at the bench, right? 16 for Yabusele, which Yabusele had a horrible game today. Relied on a lot of threes, especially from the top of the key, and it looked like he was not forcing it, because a lot of them he was wide open. But in Yabusele's case, that's not his calling card. Yabusele can't play the 5 as well. That is another thing, this is why Mitchell Robinson being out hurts a lot, because you can play Yabusele at the 4. And you can take those risks with Yabusele at the 4, because Mitchell Robinson is coming off the bench, and Mitchell Robinson is going to be your number 5. Hopefully, when Mitchell Robinson does come back, they're in a case where Mitchell Robinson is not playing a lot and does and he's in a less pressure situation. But until he's not in that situation, then we gotta rely on Yabusele to come in and play that five position when he is not a five. He's not. I'm sorry. He does get boards for you from time to time, but he's not. He's not a five. He's not a five for you, and that to me is an issue. Um, the defense to me was the main problem because yeah, they got a couple turnovers here and there. Yeah, they got a couple steals here and there, but they Miami just found ways to score and draw fouls. The Knicks found themselves in a lot of foul trouble, and that's what they were capitalizing on. I can't even say the word. They were getting to that. You know what I'm saying? Like they saw the Knicks were reaching. They saw the Knicks were being very aggressive, and they capitalized. I mean, especially Norman Powell. How many times did Norman Powell get a foul call? What, he went to the line 12 times? That tells you. That tells you. But listen, it's like I said, and shout out to Eddie Presti, shout out to the Knicks addiction. It shows that Miami is no joke this year. Miami was playing with the same pace that we were, fast, very energetic. They were not holding down on both ends of the ball. Just the Knicks, like I said, Jalen Brunson tried to do as much as he could to keep us in this game. Another efficient game for Jalen Brunson. If you look at his box score, Jalen Brunson, 14 to 26 from the field. He was 5-11 from three. He was perfect from the line. He had 37 points. Again, I there's he tried to put us on his on his back. But if you look at the bench, right? Because you look at Mikal too. Mikal, 37 minutes. He was 7-11 from the field, 3 of 5 from three. He made three or four free throws, 20 points today. Again, OG Anunoby was not that good from the field, not that good from three, 4 4 12, right? In the beginning, in the first half, he was letting it off. 14 points. So I think OG Anunoby, yeah, he had some spurts where if you watch the game, he looked really good. He looked really aggressive, but overall, he could be a little bit better. But the bench was the problem. And like I said, the bench was outscored. They were outscored 44-21. And right there, shit, that was basically the key to the game, right? Um, their bench just showed in from I would say like the last 5 minutes of the third quarter going into the fourth quarter, the Heat's bench really gave them some momentum to come into this game and really shut it down to the point where the Knicks had to make some adjustments and bring some of their starters back in. I mean, the one thing that I'll criticize Mike Brown on is Jalen Brunson being out too long. Jalen Brunson being out too long, sitting for most of that third quarter, going into the fourth, that really hurt the Knicks because he was your only guy that was making shots consistently. He was your only source of offense. Now, of course, there are going to be people on social media and stuff like that are going to be saying, well, Jalen Brunson really wasn't finding his guys. Jalen Brunson really wasn't, you know, getting into plays. My question to that is, how is Jalen Brunson going to try to get into plays, and why is Jalen Brunson going to waste his time trying to get into plays when number one, the rest of your guys aren't scoring consistently? That's number one. Number two, I'm going to get away from doing what I'm doing because the rest of my team is not. I know this sounds selfish, but this is an honest fact because when Jalen Brunson was scoring, they were staying in the game, right? They were kept in the game, they were kept close. So if I'm Jalen Brunson and I'm like, yo, I'm moving the ball, I'm cutting off ball, right? I'm trying to get you guys involved, but nobody's making shots. Nobody could consistently hit shots, but every time I make a shot, most of the time it goes in. Now, yeah, Jalen Brunson had a little bit of a blunder in the last minute of the fourth quarter, caused a big turn, a huge turnover that kind of shifted, put the icing on the cake from Miami, where he tried to pull up for a three on Bam Adebayo, and then mid-air just passed the ball away to Josh Hart, who was in the corner, and ultimately that ball went out of bounds, and it was Miami's ball, and that was it, right? But again, most of their energy and their offense came through him. So if I'm Jalen Brunson and people are like, well, Jalen Brunson got to get his players involved. If I'm getting my players involved in the beginning and nobody's really scoring, then why why am I gonna keep going to that? The guys don't have it today. And this is, I also tweeted this about Cat. It's the same thing with Cat. Again, this is all about adjustments, and this not only goes for the players, but this goes to Mike Brown too. I wish I knew somebody that was always in this huddle. One of the assistant coaches that were in the huddle, because I would love to know, is that what Mike Brown is preaching? Is he preaching, yo, let's make adjustments? Cat, your three's not falling. All right, so bro, I need you down in the paint. I need you in pick and roll action. Roll off the pick and cut to the basket. I need you down low because I need you to score. I need you to score something, because if your three's not falling and you just keep trying to shoot, and I know they always say, listen, even if it's not falling, the shot is there. Keep shooting. At some point, the Miami Heat, for the most part, every time he missed the three, they scored off of that. They got a defensive rebound, and they looked to push. So, to me, it's like I don't see why you keep relying on that. And after he went 0 for 3, I was like, all right, Cat. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's calm it down just a little bit. You could tell he was frustrated. I mean, even Mike Brown, when he got his fourth foul, which again, another game where Karl Anthony Towns got into foul trouble quickly, and you could tell he was very limited, and it kind of hurt the Knicks. It hurt the Knicks because again, he is a big presence when he's on there. So you could kind of tell that when Mike Brown took him out after he got his fourth foul, he's Mike Brown was talking to him in the sideline. And shout out to Mike Breen and shout out to Clyde, who were basically talking about, like, I've never seen a coach and a player talk on the sidelines for this long. But it's understandable, right? Because you as a head coach, you're like, I mean, I'm gonna probably assume that this is what he was talking about with Cat, but I probably, he's probably telling him, like, listen, you gotta be more, more aware of these fouls, man. These fouls hurt. These fouls really hurt the team a lot. So I need you to adjust to where the game is at, right? I need you to have a feel for the game, and I need you to calm down on the fouls, because when you get into early foul trouble, it hurts the team, and you're another weapon that is not on that court, and I can't afford you when you picking up four fouls quickly like that. I can't afford to have you, sitting out for most of the game. So I'm assuming that's probably what he's talking about, trying to coach him, trying to guide him, trying to tell him to calm down, because you can kind of tell Cat was upset. But at the same time, you got to tell them, like, yo, I can't have that. I have to hold you accountable in this situation, so we can definitely, get better with that. But yeah, man, again, I think the key thing for me tonight, it was definitely the bench outscoring the Knicks bench against no overall for the team in that second half right there. Again, when the Knicks got out the first half, they were only down 3, right? They were down 57 and 54. But coming into the second half, Jalen Brunson went off. Jalen Brunson had 12 points in the going into that third quarter, not going into, but starting that third quarter, he had 12 points. So he was coming out for blood, and I said that. I tweeted that when I put the video of his first 3 buckets in the third quarter. But after that, the offense was nowhere. The offense was nowhere, man. You got guys still trying to rely on threes, guys missing threes. There's no transition buckets. Nobody trying to go down low for the most part. It's all threes, 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 threes. And when it's like that and you're not making them and you can't make adjustments, you're going to lose, because you're giving the other team an opportunity to find a way to grab some momentum. So I really think, for me, this game was on the bench. Key turnovers, and then missing a lot of 3-point shots, relying on the three when they didn't need to. Again, and them going back to the three to save them when they didn't need to. The defensive mishaps. I mean, it got to a point where James Jaquez, who was lighting it up for the bench, if you look at the box score here, Jaquez, I think, yeah, he had 17 points. He was a plus 18 in point differential, 8 of 15 from the field. And when I saw him basically go up at Cat and going for a layup, I'm like, come on, Cat. Like, you're bigger than this dude. This dude should not be doing that to you. And then it comes, the narrative that he's soft. And it's like, I see why people are saying that, because you have shit like that. Not even him complaining. It's just shit like that. This did, like, you're way bigger than this dude. And this dude is literally going at your chest and pushing you out for a layup. So to me, it's stuff like that. The energy was taken out in that third quarter. Again, Knicks couldn't buy a bucket for the end, for the most of the last part of the third quarter, going into the beginning of the fourth, and then obviously Jalen Brunson had to go in and hit a couple big shots to kind of keep this team in. But the defense collapsed in that second half. Everything collapsed in that third quarter, and it really didn't help him going into that fourth, because the energy was built off what the bench did, ending that third quarter, going into the fourth. So they really found a way to just pressure the ball. They couldn't stop Jalen Brunson. They were making sure that they were pressuring the perimeter for the most part, even though the Knicks couldn't hit a shot. And again, they got a lot of foul calls on them. That's just the honest truth. That there's really nothing much you can really say. The ball movement was there in the first half, and then it died in the second half. Knicks not being aggressive for the most part. That's what it comes down to. And again, like I said, the defense not really being there when it needed to be in the second half. Before I do let you guys go, because again, like, these episodes are going to be short. These are nothing long unless I have a guest. I want to see if Mike Brown's post game was posted. I know, again, they showed him a little bit, and they're showing him a little bit right now. Yeah, they're showing him a little bit on the screen right now. I have the post game playing right now, but they showed him on the screen right now. And I haven't really got anything yet. I really would love to see what he said, but obviously not. It's not posted yet. And one more key thing that I do want to bring up, Jordan Clarkson, right? I know people are gonna go and violate about Jordan Clarkson. If you look at his box score today, right, he was 2-11 from the field, 0 for 4 from three, a minus 12 in point differential with only 8 points. Jordan Clarkson has to be better. Jordan Clarkson was trying to play more of a team ball instead of just trying to be aggressive and score on his way. Again, another guy relying on three too much. A lot of his shots were chucking up threes. They weren't going in. He had a couple points where he was going into the paint, but you know, him not being able to just find the rhythm off that bench hurts, because this is why you got him, right? You got a veteran that can find rhythm off the bench and really give your bench a lot of depth. So on both ends, right? So when he's not doing that, it really hurts the bench. And then just us not having Deuce. Again, you see how much of an impact Deuce McBride is coming off that bench. A playmaker, a guy that can move the ball right away, and a guy that could shoot and be aggressive. We talked about in that very first video that I posted of the post game show against the Cavs. We talked about Deuce and his confidence, right? We talked about Deuce being able to trust his shot more and rely on his teammates to trust him. And this is why him getting that starting spot against the Celtics, it really showed. Even though he didn't score well, his impact on the floor really matters. And in a game like this is where you need Deuce's ability to help the bench. So him not being able to be here in this game, and then obviously Landry Shamet being another key guy, not really being able to make shots, really hurt us. And like I said, Jordan with Shamet not being with another veteran in Shamet not being able to hit shots, and then Deuce McBride not being in here, Josh Hart, having a so-so game. You were looking at Jordan Clarkson as a guy that could really spark something off that bench, and he just couldn't get it done today. And that's just the unfortunate part. Hopefully, this is a game where Jordan Clarkson can learn from and be like, all right, I got to be better with this. I got to stop trusting. I gotta stop being, not be. I gotta start being a little bit more selfish. I love being unselfish. I love trusting my teammates. I know what my teammates could do, but I gotta be a little bit more selfish because I know what I could do as a playmaker coming off the bench. They got me for a reason. I'm a veteran. I know what I could do. I gotta trust myself. So we don't have to see performances like that because Jordan Clarkson is much better than what he has shown. Um, like I said, I really, 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 really want to see if they posted his Mike Brown's thing yet, because I think it is very important to see what he has says. Uh, 1 second, let me see. Let me see if maybe there are quotes. Let me look from one of the insiders real quick. I will show you guys. All right. Okay. So he has a couple quotes from Mike Brown right here. So I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna show you guys right here. Okay. All right. So this is James L. Edwards, senior writer for The Athletic that he covers the Knicks. All right. So these are a couple things that Mike Brown, I guess, had said in his post game. He says, Mike Brown, quote, "We're really big on possession game, and this is the first time we lost it." Yeah. Yeah. They didn't really have key possessions going into the second half, because when they had their own possessions, they kept missing shots, and Miami scored off of those. He said Brown said that the team only generated 14 sprays. He wanted at least 20. Uh, I wouldn't necessarily know what that means. Shout out to my basketball heads. Y'all probably know what that means. Just I've never heard that vocabulary when it comes to basketball terms. At least me, I know a lot of basketball terms, but that one I haven't heard of. Brown, if he thought the defensive issues were at POA or interior, and then he said, I quote, "We had a couple of breakdowns defensively when they were no one in the paint. We was a breakdown in coverages. When we guarded the ball, we allowed the ball to get outside of us too much." Correct. I agree with that. I actually agree with that. Um, Again, it was a team that, like we've seen for the last two games, that is aggressive, and they relied less on their aggressiveness inside in the interior and more on the perimeter. And that was the problem for today, because they really weren't making shots on the perimeter like that on a consistent level. Let's look at some of the other team stats as well. If you look right here, so I said it about the 3-point shots, right? But if you look at the field goal percentage, Knicks had 38, Miami had 45. Free throws, Miami had more free throws than the Knicks. The turnovers were the same, right? So it could have been anybody's game within the turnovers, even though I think the 16 turnovers hurt the Knicks on their own, right? But they out rebounded the Heat 52 to 50. I do also want to look at some more advanced stats, right? Just to kind of see maybe where the things went wrong, especially in that second half of the Knicks. So let me pull that up real quick. I got you guys right now. All right. So then when you're looking at everything, right? Okay, you got your free throws, whatever, assist. Miami had 25 assists. New York had 23. Uh, fast break points. Here's where shit changes. The Knicks had 10 fast break points. Miami had 31. And they played quick, right? Both teams were playing quick. Miami just took advantages of every mistake that the Knicks had, whether it was turnovers or whether it was missed shots, whether in the perimeter or in the interior, right? Then you look at offensive boards. The Knicks had more offensive boards. Offensive boards, Miami had 41, Knicks had 36, and then points off for turnovers. Big difference again. 20 points off for turnovers. 20 points off for turnovers. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. And you're not going to be able to win games like that if you're not taking care of the basketball. And especially if a team is coming out there and is taking advantage of those turnovers, right? Every turnover that a team makes, a team is looking to push the ball quick and score, right? So, it's unfortunate. The Knicks got to be better in that. They got to take care of the basketball, and for the most part, it looked like that's how it was gonna go from the first half, but it didn't go. It didn't go that way. So again, the Knicks got to be better at taking care of the ball around as a team. Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges with two fantastic games today, but for nothing, as the Knicks lose their very first game of the season to the Miami Heat, 115-107. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the New York Knicks play. Let's look at this real quick. Okay, the Knicks are off. Yes, Knicks are off on Monday, and they will be at Milwaukee on Tuesday. So we play on NBC. It's our first game on NBC, and it is against the Milwaukee Bucks, where we will see Giannis, who's been involved in a lot of trade talks for the Knicks, in terms of him might come in here. Knicks maybe wanting to go there to go get a Giannis and try to make a trade for that to happen. So we'll see how that goes. But yes, the Milwaukee Bucks will play the Knicks on Tuesday, and the Knicks got two more games on the road, which is again in Miami on Tuesday, and then at Chicago on Friday before they come back for that's actually a long homestand right here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a 6-game homestand, and we actually play Miami back to back. So the next time we get our revenge against Miami is on November 14th, which is a Friday at the Garden, and then November 17th back in Miami. And that right there, where I believe we should be smelling blood in the water to get our revenge against Miami. But since I cannot find anything of Mike Brown, I'm gonna check one more time, and if I can't, I will let you guys go. And hopefully, you guys can give the opinions on uh Mike Brown, what he says, the team overall. Make sure, I always tell you guys to comment, just have a conversation with me. Let me know what you guys think. But it doesn't seem like he said anything. So we'll just leave it at that. Again, the Knicks will be back on Tuesday to take on the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee for the first time this season, as they look to, avenge their loss today. But with that being said, guys, I really do appreciate you guys tuning in and watching this video. Make sure you guys comment, like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you guys follow me at Top Bunk Sports on Instagram, X, and TikTok. And as always, I appreciate you guys tuning into this video. I will have a video for you guys on Tuesday's game, unless something does come out where I do a video randomly and it comes out tomorrow. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys always. Happy Sunday, and for the one time, let's go Knicks.